Looking at the behavior of the many people who are dealing with current leaders, the word coward inevitably comes to mind. It is striking to watch grown men and women, veterans of politics, business, or academia, shrink before them as if encountering a bully. Their tactics are well known: public humiliation, mocking nicknames, threats, weaponization of attention. Instead of resistance, one often sees silence, appeasement, or even obsequious flattery. The bully roars and the courtiers bow. Coward. It's a word that lands with the blunt force of a slap. It isn't a neutral description like anxious or avoidant. It's a moral judgment that feels like an accusation against your very humanity. We see it in the news when powerful leaders shrink. And we feel it in our own lives when we dodge a difficult conversation. But if we put aside the pointing finger and pick up a magnifying glass, we find that cowardice is far more interesting and more tragic than a simple insult suggests. Most people think cowardice is just the absence of courage. It's not. It is an elaborate architecture of defenses built by a fragile self to protect itself from the world. We aren't just hiding from enemies outside, we are hiding from our own unruly depths, our own ambition, our aggression, and our own inner fire. You don't need a battlefield to find a coward. Everyday life is saturated with it. It's the friend who won't return a difficult call, the spouse who suffers in silence to avoid a fight, or the student who sharpens pencils for hours instead of starting an essay because they're terrified it won't be perfect. These aren't villains. They are just humans whose anxieties have exceeded their capacity to act. There is a profound absurdity to cowardice. It is the psychological equivalent of hiding under the bed while the house is on fire. You feel safe for a second, but you're doomed all the same. In trying to avoid the death of a small rejection or a momentary conflict, we stumble into a life half-lived, a narrow corridor of self-imposed limits. The irony is sharp. In fleeing suffering, the coward runs straight into it, just by a longer, lonelier route. The soldier who deserts to avoid a bullet might freeze to death in the woods. The lover who never confesses for fear of rejection ends up rejected by default, by silence itself. Why do we do this? It often comes down to a fragile self-esteem. For some, every risk feels like total annihilation. They have an inner critic that is harsher than any drill sergeant. For a brave person, a mistake is a setback. For a coward, a mistake is proof of worthlessness. So, they choose inaction because it feels safer than engagement. This behavior is also contagious. We see it in organizations where a room full of brilliant leaders will applaud a decision they privately hate because no one wants to be the nail that sticks up. We see it in politics when grown men and women tiptoe around a bully like children around an angry uncle. The bargain is always the same. Endure humiliation now to avoid the risk of being kicked out of the group. But the bill always comes due. History has a long memory, and cowardice ages badly. Today's prudent silence becomes tomorrow's shame. When the threat is finally gone, when the bully leaves the stage, the coward is left with a legacy written not just in what they did, but in what they failed to do. They spend the rest of their lives replaying the moment, trying to translate their fear into moral instruction. But the excuses always ring hollow. So, how do we move forward? The goal isn't to turn everyone into a hero overnight. It's simpler than that. We need to stop being so terrified of our own pulse. We have to recognize that our shadow, Our desire for power or our capacity for conflict doesn't make us monsters. It makes us human. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the refusal to let fear dictate the script. Every life requires a confrontation with the unknown. To avoid it entirely is just rehearsing your death in advance. At the end of the day, cowardice is the voice of the unconscious whispering, "Why risk everything when we can survive on crumbs?" But crumbs don't sustain us for long. Only when we step forward, trembling, stammering, and awkward, do we actually start living. To risk the wound is the only way to be open to the joy. The thing we feared was never the world outside. It was our own untapped strength.